Our top focus is Manipur, which has been witnessing a surge in violence for 3 weeks now. Drone bombings, rocket attacks and shootouts have brought back a sense of unease in the state. But that is not all. The security advisor to Manipur government has publicly confirmed that they have received an intelligence report that alerted them to 900 militants having infiltrated the state. These insurgents from neighboring Myanmar have been trained in jungle warfare and the use of weaponized drones. This confirms that a hidden hand is working to destabilize Manipur. But who really is this, and why exactly are they looking to balkanize India? Meanwhile, in light of this report, the Manipur Police has alerted the BSF at the border checkposts in areas where insurgents are present, and all of those areas are being cordoned off. Additionally, a strategic operation group meeting has been held with the Army, Assam Rifles and the CRPF to tackle this issue. As security forces monitoring areas with potential militant activity, combing operations have been ramped up as well. These are usually focused on recovering arms and ammunition, but now our vigilant forces are also keeping an eye out for raw materials that are used to build these bombs and, of course, the drones. Even as the situation remains grim, India is making an effort to fence the border, but it is also time to probe who really is fueling the fire in Manipur. I take this conversation forward. I have with me Major General G.G. Dwivedi. We have Major General Dhruv Katoch with us on the broadcast, Major Mohammad Ali Shah and R.V.S. Mani, former Under Secretary, also with us on the broadcast. Let me begin with Major General G.G. Dwivedi. So I want to, of course, begin by asking you this latest report, intelligence report that has now come in and has been confirmed. What do you make of it, and why exactly is it that we're not being able to really put an end or to curb this movement of militants?
Background. The ground reality is that what has been reported, it has a certain degree of credibility, because it should not come as a surprise. The last 18 months, the Manipur has been on the boil, and these groups, militant groups, they have a lot of give and take. And the Zo tribe, which is on the Myanmar border in the Chin state, has ethnic affiliation and ethnic commonality with the Cookies. So therefore, it's quite on the cards that as Cookies were pushed into a corner, they would have sought help, and these people have come in. And I don't discount the report, or I can only say this is going to escalate the situation further. Second point, militant groups always have a lot of give and take, as I said, like the Meitei militant groups, UNLF, they have a tie-up with NSC and K. PLA, again, Meitei group has tie-up with NSC and IM. So therefore, these groups keep coordinating and also coming to each other's assistance. But I like to make a couple of important points. Devika, last 18 months, Manipur has been on the boil. What the current dispensation and also the central government has done is only crisis management. They have not gone in to solve the problem. That is point number one. Secondly, today, the two tribes, let me tell you, Cookies and Meiteis, have lived in harmony for ages. They never had a problem. And the problem started when there was a controversial judgment by the High Court that the tribal status will also be extended to the Meiteis, who are quite well off and in majority. Today, the ground situation is that two communities, they are like in the war zone. They are fortified, and their respective militant groups are well armed, and they are at each other's neck. And the fragile peace which takes place off and on gets breached whenever either side takes into violence. Now, what is the way forward? First and foremost, army, which is in the wait and watch situation, only manning the or supervising the buffer zone, need to step in now and disarm these groups. Otherwise, the situation is going to escalate. Point number two, this central controlling Manipur through remote control, unified headquarters, I think this narrative has to change. Center has to step in, because the current dispensation in Manipur is not capable of handling either the police, because DGP Rajiv Singh had recently said that police cannot handle it. They have no confidence in the paramilitary forces, and therefore I think it's the time the army must come in and new unified headquarters must be established. Thirdly, the external angle, yes, why not? The external forces which are inimical to India will only exploit the situation. So let's not be surprised about it. I think they are at work, whether you take China or you take ISI in Bangladesh or in Myanmar, they all will be fishing in the turbulent waters. So all I can say is situation very precarious, time for center to step in, time for army to come in and disarm the groups, and also time to now man the borders, because the border management is one of the vulnerabilities, and that's why these groups are able to come and go with degree of impunity. Devika.
Okay. So, Mir General Gigi Dwivedi has brought about largely 2 points. One is, of course, the situation on the ground. Currently, what's happening and what can be done. And secondly, a big question about who really is responsible. I want to bring in RVS Money on the second aspect of it. RVS Money, what really stops us then from asking some pertinent questions such as, does Myanmar truly have the wherewithal to be supplying these militant groups with the training and also the bomb materials and equipments? Or do we need to ask some of the larger questions and understand who really is behind the trainings that are taking place in Myanmar? How exactly are these militant groups being able to cross the border so easily? And at the same time, some of the reports that are also coming out, the fact that there is a clear distinction that sometimes these are Métis militants, other times these are Kuki militants. Do you feel that somewhere a really larger plan is at play where there are foreign forces which are trying to influence the narrative and continue pitting one community against the other?
This communal cauldron, yes, indeed. But at the same time, you have put it very rightly, Myanmar doesn't have the wherewithal or the capacity, and also the power to sustain for 18 to 20 months. After now, it's almost 16 months that the fault lines are being exploited by the foreign hands, be it the Chinese angle, be it their own allies, Chinese angles like the ISI and now the Bangladesh, where Bangladesh not only now, even in the 90s and 2000, the first decade of 2000, they were giving shelter to many of the India insurgent group. Insurgency was seeded out of Bangladesh in the northeast. All that was controlled, but now it is a revisiting of that. And they also know there are several fault lines, because it is not only it is not only as General Dwivedi pointed out, it is not only in Mizoram or Manipur that the Métis, the Kukis have a handle. They have some NSC and K. Is also the Kaplan group also has a connectivity group. They have Isaac Mubia also. Here about the infiltration part of it, 900 people can because we have to, there is a free no man's land in between the Manipur and the Myanmar border from 10 to 16 kilometers or so. The problem is, if you apply too much pressure, it could be spilling over to Mizoram, where there are fault lines already there. Recently, some unfortunate captures have happened in Mizoram. We have fault lines in the other side of Udurmuta and this Jorat border, that Dimapur area of Nagaland also. That also is a very, very important thing, Mokokchang area. So Manipur has to be handled very, very carefully. 174 has to be, cannot be stopped, and it has, the government has to take a holistic position, not a state-centric position, number one. United command is very much important, not just for Manipur alone. Let us revisit, let them, the state government within their capacity, let them manage. But as far as the security of India is concerned, you have to take at least 4 states in a comprehensive manner, spilling over, because they should not spill over to Assam, they should not spill over to Mizoram, they should not spill over to Nagaland, or they should not spill over to other states. So a comprehensive, holistic position, helicopter view, at the same time revisit, say for a sustainable solution, revisit all the border treaties with Mizoram, Myanmar, so that this type of free entry and exit. fence the border, secure
Yes,
the
but
border.
RVS Mani, yes, and since day one of the clashes, we've been RVS Mani. I just want to important topic that you've raised there. Since day one of the clashes, we have been discussing the porous border with Myanmar. What then stops the Indian government from taking a stern position against it?
Now we need to be really revisiting and recalibrating our approach to the border management, including the bilateral treaties, including the immediate refencing or reinforcement of security on the borders. Need be deploy more forces, and also AFPSA may be brought in at least. And northeast, not only Myanmar border, it's at Manipur area. There is also, it also touches Mizoram and other places. All these things have to be holistically seen. Give the security forces protection and free hand. AFPSA is immediately required. Let the naysayers know whatever it is, security of the country is paramount. Balkanization is happening, and let us not forget that this will continue to prick us always, because now India is, excepting for Sri Lanka, which has had an election today, we are surrounded by all hostile neighbors, and they are all in oneness with the larger support of China. China is using those fault lines to balkanize, to create ethnic conflicts, to create other type of communal cauldron in the northeast area specifically, because certain factors have hit the Chinese smuggling into north, the reinforced economic issues has happened after 2014 itself. Lot of chances that Chinese had, prior to that, lot of Chinese things used to come inside, which has been to a great extent checked. So that is also a part of bleeding China. So we have also taken some effective steps. We need to really reinforce and take a holistic approach, right from Alipurdar to the Tawang Valley or the Yangtze, where the last 2 years back we had a very good success. And similarly in the Nagaland sector and also in the Myanmar border. So this is the holistic way. Yes, let the state government have their own federal autonomy, but in terms of security issues are there, fault lines are being exploited, or including inter-sign border conflicts are being seeded by China or foreign hand between like Mizoram and Assam 2 years back. Again there was with the Home Minister mediated. Okay. So all these things have to be handled by the Home Ministry of Home Affairs comprehensively and in a holistic approach. That is what it is.
Okay, I want to bring in Major Dhruv Katoch as well on another aspect, crucial aspect. Major Dhruv Katoch, I want to understand from you, sir, what do you think is then stopping the government from giving the army the green light and the orders that it needs to go ahead and do what needs to be done in Manipur? As far as containing the situation to Manipur is concerned, somewhere, yes, the government has succeeded. For example, we have not seen a spillover of the clashes into any of the neighboring states, but that's really not enough. Containing the situation has brought us about many months now into the conflict continuing in Manipur. What do you think is keeping the government from really taking that call? As Major General G.G. Dwivedi also pointed out, that the army needs to go in and disarm these groups.
Thank you, Devika. Devika, the way I look at it is, at some point of time, if the situation continues in the present manner, the government will take that call, and the army will be called in to restore what order was required. So tomorrow, if the Supreme Court passes an order and somebody doesn't like it, does that give license to people to take law into their own hands and say, okay, we don't like this order and throw it out? No, there is a Constitution of India, and that will be followed. So let us get that idea straight. There is no reason for the cookies to have been instigated by an order which gave equal rights to the Maitis. It is the Maitis who have been living there for 2,000 years. The cookies have come in later. So while I agree that the cookies also have a right to their land, but at the same time the Maitis have the right to that constitutional protection which the cookies enjoy. So that is the bottom line. I don't think the government should buckle down on that. That is one. Number two, I think we need to put a great deal of pressure on the Myanmar side for whatever it is worth. They really don't have the armed capacity or capability, but to the extent they have, we will have to put some pressure there. Otherwise, I think it may be appropriate for the Indian Army to even operate across the border and eliminate those camps of those militant groups which are camping on the other side. We will be able to take them on our side of the border, but I think across the border that message has to go. Number three, we have to look into where the money is coming from. Now, one of the sources we all know is the poppy trade, and that is the most lucrative source of money. And ultimately, the root of the conflict is because the poppy fields were destroyed, and we told them to get onto some other forms of commerce. That has hit the smuggling gang, and the gang which was doing all this narcotic trade. It has hit them very hard. So they are the ones who now are promoting this violence. And the money is also coming in from right-wing Christian groups. It is not the Chinese who are putting in the money. Let us be very straight. The money is coming in from Christian groups from North America and from Western Europe. And it is coming in they want to actually create a Christian state there. That is what even the former premier of Bangladesh stated, that it is the US plan to create a Christian state there. So let us not be fooled by the fact that America and India are friends, that India is now, the Quad conference will perhaps be taking place tomorrow, in which the Indian Prime Minister and the US President will be taking part amongst the four member countries. And of course, we have got a very vibrant relationship with the United States. But despite that vibrant relationship with the United States, the US will keep meddling in our affairs, trying to keep India down economically so that we do not emerge in the future as a major competitor. The reason why Bangladesh happened is that, not so much to do with Bangladesh, but a great deal to do with India. So those are the facts on the ground. It is not simply a military solution. You cannot just say, okay, send the army in and sort it out. That is not going to happen. There are multiple angles involved. There will be diplomatic angles with neighboring countries will come in. Our own the Home Ministry will have to step in, and then of course the army is there. But that is the last
recourse. Dhruv Katoch, as far as diplomacy then with Myanmar is concerned, there is instability in Myanmar itself. How does the government then tackle that situation? Are we hoping or expecting that there could be some sort of a third-party intervention?
No, there'll be no question of a third party, Devika. What I really meant to say was to sensitize the military government in Myanmar that we will be operating inside your area. I mean, that's about it. Just tell them that much, we will be operating, and it's a fait accompli. I'm not too much concerned about Bangladesh. You see, we have the levers on Bangladesh, and if we wish to apply them, we can apply them. At this point of time, Bangladesh is not a player in what is happening here. The major players are the United States and their proxies. It is the cookie groups, and of course the Pakistani ISI and the Chinese, who will always come in wherever there is a problem. But the start point, I can assure you, has not been the Chinese as far as this is concerned. No, but there's a situation to exploit. They've jumped in very happily. They've jumped in, and the ISI has jumped in. But look into the role of the church. That is where the US is operating through them, through their intelligence agencies, through the church, and getting their finances in. And they're also promoting the opium trade. The Americans, the past masters at it, they've done it in Afghanistan, they're doing it in Myanmar. The entire operations in Myanmar are also to a very large extent US controlled. So there are various facets to it, but simply saying that the army will come and resolve the issue, that is not going to happen. We may dream about it. But one last point I want to say about the fence. The fence is a very bad idea. You can fence a few specific areas, but fencing the entire border, the amount of troops which is required to guard it is colossal. It is not going to work. So we have to look into better options. Fence selected areas, guard them well, use surveillance devices, but not across all the border. We have to be very, very selective in our approach. And then, of course, not just look into the Indian border. You've got to look well across the border into Myanmar and take all your preventive measures there also. Devika.
Okay, Major Mohammad Ali Shah, bringing into the conversation there. Major Shah, what are your thoughts on how the government can then take the conversation forward as far as now diplomacy with Myanmar is concerned? Because that, of course, has to be a major talking point going ahead. As Major Dhruv Katoch also pointed out, it can't simply be about what the security forces can do within Manipur. They have managed to, as I've mentioned before, contain the situation to Manipur. It's not spilled over to any of the neighboring northeastern states, but there has to now be some sort of a plan of action put into place as far as the support which is coming in from the bordering country is concerned. And you've also, I believe you've been awarded the prestigious Director General Assam Rifles Commendation Card as well for your contribution to the Northeast and particularly to Assam and Manipur. What are your thoughts?
Thank you very much, Devika, for acknowledging my Director General Assam Rifles Combination card, which is very, very dear to me. In fact, yes, Devika, the fact is, it's a very, very good question. And right from day one of when the violence broke out, 3rd May last year, I've been speaking on this on YouTube, on various other news channels everywhere, and suggesting things. But unfortunately and very sadly, those pleas have all fallen to deaf ears. Be it from the stakeholders in Manipur, be it from the government, be it anywhere, it's just fallen to deaf ears completely, Devika. And it pains me no end, because I believe the IB, the Intelligence Bureau, most certainly they would be having a list of names. I know Mr. Mani will agree with me when he says that they unko sab pata hota hai. They know everything. They know, they get intelligence, they get inputs. So why cannot the IB actually take out a list of names? For example, I would definitely recommend General Govind Dwivedi, who has commanded the division over there, the Red Shield Division in Limakong in Manipur. And I was the ADC there, the corps commander at that time, the same time over there. So they would be having a list of the former chief secretaries, the former GOCs, the former governors, the former chief fire monitoring group, though it's Nagaland based, but most certainly they are in touch. Why? They have got a peace committee formed last year of 51 members. Not a single person from these stakeholders, not a single person. They were the group of, they were 25, they were Maites, they were Cookies, they were Nagas, they were even politicians. But not a single person we could see who could actually be who would actually be of some contribution there. No. I have told you many times, I have mentioned this, that I offer myself, I volunteer for it. In fact, I am keen on it, because my sole interest is only bringing peace into Manipur. And regarding as far as army is concerned, I believe, okay, not all army may not just come and get everything sorted out immediately, but army can do a lot, Devika, provided their hands are not tied behind their backs. Today it gets embarrassing for me when people ask me that you are an army officer, why you have served as the ADC to the spec, or you have served with the Assam Rifles. Why is it that the forces cannot take control? Because why? Because they have not been given the powers. It's very simple as that. So now, what the government should do, they should definitely try it. It's my recommendation. It's my honest, serious, sincere recommendation, earnestly from my heart. They should form a peace committee once again and try it. It may not work. I'm not saying it's going to work. There's no guarantee to it. What if it works? Now, also coming back to the point, what about there have been intelligence reports to the security advisor, Mr. Kuldeep Singh has said that there are 900 Kukichan militants from Myanmar who are waiting to come across. Now, I believe any intelligence news, should not be taken lightly. Should be taken seriously. The news is true unless and until proved incorrect or inaccurate. Now, the report which came in was they are reportedly grouped in units of 30 members each and currently scattered in the periphery and expected to launch multiple coordinated attacks on Maite villages around 28 September 2024. Now this kind of a report comes, it's indeed alarming, and it also that these militants who are waiting to come across are trained in drone-based bombings, projectiles, missiles, and jungle warfare. So that's indeed very distressing and alarming, because let's wait, time will tell whether this report is true or not. I think the security advisor Kuldeep Singh, he's doing his job. Anyone who would have been there in his place, when he gets a report like this, if it's not taken seriously, and if God forbid something happens, then there is going to be hell to pay. कि हमें तो ये रिपोर्ट दे दी थी आपको साहब, आपने रिपोर्ट नहीं किया, आपने कार्रवाई नहीं करी, you did not take action to preempt it. Why? So the very fact is, the Cookies and the Maites have been living together like brothers. I have spent a large amount of my childhood in Manipur before I joined the army. When I was in school, that time I have served over there. I have a post hanging up my boots from the army. I have handled corporate accounts for the northeast part of India. So my affinity and my attachment I speak the local language over there, many of them. In fact, so the very fact is my affinity towards the northeast belt is very, very strong. The passion that I have for northeast part of India, the most beautiful part of our country, I can vouch with conviction, it's unmatched actually, Devika.
Okay.
So my recommendation is to the government please form a peace committee of people who are passionate about
Okay.
Manipur.
Devika, can I make a quick point?
Yes, yes.
Well, Devika, just a couple of points. First and foremost, it's a national problem. No more a Kuki mighty problem must be handled at national level at the highest priority. Secondly, what I wanted to say is that army can create conducive environment, but solution has to be political. Having commanded the division here, that's the exact thing we did. We created the situation where political solution can work. The third point is today, the two communities are so heavily armed that until they are disarmed, there is going to be no peace whatsoever. The fourth point is this problem can spill over because Mizos have a lot of Kukis. Nagas are involved. You use the word balkanization. Nagas have been wanting a separate Nagaland, and those parts which they are dominating in Manipur, they want a separate state. Today, Kukis want a separate hill council. So therefore, Manipur, the integrity is involved. And my last point is that today the government in Myanmar is not controlling the border. The border is today with the Three Brother Alliance. Therefore, they can do very little on the border. We will have to actually take cognizance and ensure that these bases, if need be, we will have to be proactive because Myanmar government is not controlling the border belt anymore. Therefore, the situation is very, very precarious, difficult situation. Time now to act and not only form committees after committees. I think that time is over. The time is to act now.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.